In 1376 in America, before sunrise, her daily routine began. A pale grey dawn enveloped the dilapidated thatched roofs of the village, and a cold mist clung to the ground, as if the night refused to let go. Inside a small, cramped, old wooden house, a woman opened her eyes in the darkness, softened only by the dim light. She quietly rose from her straw mattress, careful not to wake the child sleeping beside her. The earthen floor was icy cold to her bare feet as she wrapped herself in a rough-worn woolen sweater, tattered from years of hard labor.
Beside the fire lay a thin, sickly dog enduring the biting cold. Sitting by the fire, she blew on the dying embers, adding pieces of wood and scraps to the dying embers. The fire offered not only comfort, but also protection against the damp air, disease, and hunger, its weak light revealing thick black smoke above her head. Outside, a rooster crowed, and a flock of chickens and chicks foraged in the mist, breaking the stillness of the sleeping fields. She rose and picked up a wooden bucket, stepping out into the chilly morning air. The other women followed along the muddy path leading to the communal well. Their conversation was quiet and practical. The well rope creaked as she scooped water into the bucket. Her hands scraped and chafed from friction. Balancing the heavy bucket at her side, she walked carefully and slowly to avoid spilling a single drop. Back inside the small, cramped, dilapidated house, the fire burned steadily and brightly. She ground barley with a stone mill, the stone turning in a slow, rhythmic circle. The sound of grinding grain filled the small house like a steady heartbeat. Flour mixed with water formed a coarse dough, kneaded by her rough but skillful hands. She pressed bread into a hot pan. The children began to stir as the aroma of baked bread filled the air. She assigned small tasks to their tiny hands, teaching them survival skills through repetition. Outside, roosters crowed, cows mooed, and wheels clattered on the rough ground. The village was waking, not to relax, but to perform its duties. Her husband prepared his tools for working in the vast fields beyond the fence. She gave him bread and water before he left. The sun slowly rose, revealing strips of farmland divided by custom, not by ownership. Now she had finished baking and began to head to the fields, her skirt lifted. She bent down to weed the rows of peas under the gradually opening sky. Her hands were calloused and slightly chafed. Her knees ached, and her back had been sore since before midday. She observed the clouds with quiet caution, thinking that too much rain meant rot, too little meant hunger. By midday, she distributed bread and water under the clear sky. The conversation turned to the bountiful harvest and the debts owed to the manor. Every grain carried an obligation. After eating, the work continued without interruption. Finishing her work in the fields and returning to her old, dilapidated house, she prepared another meal. Milk in shallow pans waiting for the cream to rise. She carefully whipped the cream and skimmed off the top, thinking of butter and cheese. A spinning wheel spun between her fingers as she spun yarn. Sunlight filtered through a small window, catching dust in the rays. The spinning linked warmth with winter and trade with survival. Occasionally, surplus eggs or butter would be transported to a nearby market town to sell. Salt bought there could help preserve meat during the colder months. Each small exchange provided security. Her child coughed, drawing her attention. She prepared herbs gathered from her nursery and brewed a remedy according to her family's traditional knowledge. The doctors lived in distant cities, but the remedies here were prepared at home. Church bells rang out, echoing across the open fields. She paused for a moment, whispering a soft prayer. Faith offered firmness where certainty could not. The evening breeze swept through the village, carrying the scent of earth and animals. She herded the chickens into their coop before sunset. The goat was tied up to prevent it from wandering. She observed the trees, wary of potential dangers. Inside, The soup simmered on the stove. The family gathered together as the fire blazed. The flickering lamplight cast a wavering light on the walls. Wooden bowls were filled and passed from hand to hand. She listened as people recounted their day's work. Tiredness was evident in their voices, but so was their endurance. After dinner, she used sand to clean the grooves. Leftover food scraps were carefully stored for tomorrow's soup. Grains were measured and prepared for the next morning. Not a single hour was wasted in her world. She returned to her spinning work as night fell. The wind gently stirred the walls of the dilapidated thatched hut. The fire died down into glowing embers. Finally, she sat down on the straw mat. Her muscles ached from the day's fatigue. In the darkness, she listened to the wind, the animals, and the distant barking of dogs. Tomorrow's work awaited her after sleep. In America, in 1376, her struggle never ended. But thanks to quiet perseverance, the fragile thread of survival remained strong.